press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update.
Hello children, subject social science, topic ancient civilization, class 6th. Okay, in this class we study about another important civilization, that is Chinese civilization. Okay, today move on to the next important ancient civilization, that is Chinese civilization. Understood? It lies in the Asian continent. China lies to the east of India, eastern part of India. Okay, Mongolian tribes are the ancestors of China. Mongolian tribes are the ancestors of China. Okay, that is the previous people are the ancestors. Understood? To Chinese complexion is Mongolian tribes. Okay, they were yellow complexion. Yangtze, Sikiang and Honghu are the important rivers of China. Understood? Which are the important rivers of the China? Yangtze, Sikiang and Honghu. Yangtze, Sikiang and another Honghu. Honghu are the important rivers of the China. Understood? Yangtze, Sikiang and Honghu are the important rivers. Okay, they are called as the cradles of civilization. They are called as the cradles of civilization. The cradle of civilization. The cradles of civilization. Okay, we already learned about the previous chapter, children, how the rivers play an important role in the development of civilizations, isn't it? These are the two important rivers, that is Yangtze, Sikiang and Honghu are the two important rivers which are the called cradles of civilization. Understood? Or took place or birthplace of China civilization. Honghu river is called as Yellow River. Which river? Honghu river called as Yellow River. Yellow River. Okay. Honghu river is also called as Yellow River. It is called as the Sorrow of China. Understood? Which river? Yellow River called as the Sorrow of China because often that will be heavy floods. Understood? It takes the life of Chinese people, so it is called as the Sorrow of China. Even today there will be found in the even today also there will be flood in this river. Okay, that's why this river was called Sorrow of China. Understood? Which river? Honghu river is also called as Sorrow of China. It is called as the Sorrow of China because often that will be heavy floods in takes the life of Chinese people. So it is called as the Sorrow of China. Even today also will be flood in this river. Initially, Chinese kingdoms ruled from villages. Understood? They ruled from villages. They ruled from villages. villages. They ruled from villages. Okay. Gradually they developed foreign trade by growing paddy and silk. They growing paddy and silk. Okay. They developed foreign trade by growing paddy and silk. Okay. Their agriculture flourished and during this period. Now we study about political history of Chinese civilization. Okay. See here, now we study about political history. It means which are the dynasties that ruled the ancient China. Okay. So let us learn about dynasties one by one. 5 dynasties ruled the China. Okay. Ruled the ancient China. I will explain you one by one, children. Now let us learn about the dynasties that ruled the ancient China. Okay. First one is Shang dynasty. First one is Shang dynasty. Okay. Next one is Zhou dynasty. Okay. Here we see the dynasties that ruled the ancient China. First one is Shang dynasty, next Zhou dynasty, next Qin dynasty, Han dynasty, last one is Sung dynasty. Sung dynasty, it was the last dynasty of Chinese civilization. Okay, see here, now we study about the dynasties that ruled the ancient China. First one is Shang dynasty, Zhou dynasty, Qin dynasty, Han dynasty, and last one is Sung dynasty. Okay. Sung dynasty, it was the last dynasty of this civilization. Sung dynasty came to end when Mongolians conquered the China. Okay. Shang dynasty was the first ruling dynasty. Yeah, which one? Shang dynasty. Shang dynasty was the first ruling dynasty of the China. Okay, it ruled from 18th century BCE to 12th century BCE. It ruled from 18th century BCE to 12th century BCE. Okay, children, that is almost 600 years or 6 centuries the Shang dynasty ruled China. Okay, the prosperity of ancient China depended on agriculture. They depended on agriculture. Okay. The prosperity of ancient China depended on agriculture. They depended on agriculture. Okay, they gave importance to agriculture. They prospered. There was very much development of the field of agriculture. Along with the agriculture, master the craft of producing bronze and porcelain dishes. Understood? Listen here. Master the craft of producing bronze and porcelain dishes. The Chinese had mastered the craft of producing bronze and porcelain dishes. Chinese had mastered the craft the craft of producing bronze and porcelain. Porcelain dishes. Porcelain dishes. Understood? Once again, Chinese mastered the craft of producing bronze and porcelain dishes. Long back, they knew how to make the dishes from the bronze and porcelain dishes. Okay, you will see at your houses, China porcelain dishes will be having teacups, saucers, and all will be using, isn't it? Bronze is a alloy of copper and tin, isn't it? Bronze is a alloy of copper and tin. Okay, in this way, they progressed in agriculture and craft of producing bronze and porcelain dishes. Okay. Next, now let us go to next dynasty, Zhou dynasty. Okay, see here, Zhou dynasty ruled ancient China for some times. Okay, long time. Wu Wang was the famous king of Zhou dynasty. Understood? Wu Wang was the famous ruler of this dynasty or Zhou dynasty. Famous philosophers Confucius and Lao Tse lived during this period. Once again, see here, Wu Wang was the famous king of Zhou dynasty. Now we study about the next dynasty, Zhou dynasty. Understood? The well-known philosophers Confucius and Lao Tse lived in this period. Okay, Qin dynasty came to power after Zhou dynasty. The name China is derived from Qin dynasty. Okay, children. Next, which is now we study about Zhou dynasty. Zhou dynasty ruled ancient China for long time. Wu Wang was the famous ruler of this dynasty. Famous philosophers Confucius and Lao Tse lived during this period or Zhou dynasty. Okay. Now let us learn about Qin dynasty. Next one is Qin dynasty. Qin dynasty came to power after Zhou dynasty. Okay. The name China is derived from Qin dynasty. Next we study about Qi Huang Ti. Qi Huang Ti. Now we study about Qin dynasty. Okay. Qi Huang Ti. Qi Huang Ti was the famous king of this dynasty. Who? Qi Huang Ti was the famous king of which dynasty? Qin dynasty. Okay. He unified China. Why he was famous? He unified China and enforced uniform law. He unified China. Understood? Who unified the China? Qi Huang Ti. He unified the China and enforced uniform law. And he enforced uniform law. Uniform law because there were different laws in China. He united the China and brought uniform laws. Who? Qi Huang Ti. Okay. He was called the first emperor of China. Who was called first emperor of the China? Qi Hongdi was the called the first emperor of the China. First emperor of China. He is called as the first emperor of China. Okay, because why he was called the first emperor of China? Because he unified the China and enforced uniform law. He united the China and brought uniform laws. He was called the first emperor of China because united the China and enforced uniform laws. He built 1,500-mile long Great Wall of China. He built the Great Wall of China. He built the Great Wall of China. Who built this? Shi Huangdi built the Great Wall of China. Why he was built this wall? Because he protect China from the enemies. He built Great Wall of China to protect China from the enemies. Okay, it is called as one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. It is also one of the 7 wonders. 7 wonder of the world. It is also called as one of the 7 wonder of the ancient world. Understood? Who built this Great Wall of China? Shi Huangdi built Great Wall of China. Understood? It is also called as one of the 7 wonder of the ancient world. In order to protect China from enemies, to build this Great Wall of China. Now still also it is existing China. Okay. After Qing dynasty, Han dynasty came to power or came into prominence in China. Okay. Which dynasty? Han dynasty. After Qing dynasty, who came to prominence in China? Han dynasty. It is called as the Golden Age. It is called as the Golden Age in China because all round development in their China in this period. That's why it is called as the Golden Age in China. Wu-Ti. Now we study about Han dynasty. Han dynasty. Okay. Here we see the famous ruler Wu-Ti. Wu-Ti. Okay. Wu-Ti was the famous Wu-Ti. Wu-Ti was the famous king of Han dynasty. Wu-Ti was the famous king of Han dynasty. Okay, he established a vast empire or large empire. Foreign trade gained importance during this dynasty. During his period, foreign trade gained importance during this dynasty. There was great demand for silk in Rome. Silk. Understood? There was great demand for silk in Rome and the trade route between the China and Rome became to be called as the Silk Route. Once again, listen here, there was great demand for silk. Understood? Silk in Rome and the trade route between the China and Rome became to be called as Silk Route. Silk Road. The road between China and Rome became what? The Silk Road. The Silk Route. Okay. See here, the trade of silk became so prominent, children, that the trade route between the China and Rome almost came to be called, it was called by the name Silk Road. Understood? But next, Buddhism entered during the Han dynasty. That means people of China were attracted by the philosophy of Buddha, and then they adopted Buddhism. Okay. Art and literature received great patronage during the rule of Han dynasty. Rules of China encouraged art and literature since there were all round of development in the field of agriculture, trade, art, literature, etc. Okay, it is called as the golden age of the China. Next, now we study about the last dynasty, Sung dynasty. Okay, now let us go to the last dynasty of Chinese civilization, that is Sung dynasty. Now we study about 5 minutes. Sung dynasty. Sung dynasty. Okay. Peking was the capital of Sung dynasty. Which was the capital of Sung dynasty? Peking. Understood? Peking was the capital of Sung dynasty. During this period, wood printing press and production of porcelain dishes started in this period. After the Sung dynasty, Mongolian tribal race and the Sung dynasty came to end. Okay, so this dynasty saw the height of progress during this period because all round development was seeing. Okay, today Beijing, the capital of China. Okay, now let us learn about the contribution of Chinese civilization to the ancient world was remarkable. They introduced tea and silk. They introduced tea and silk. Okay, they were the first country to introduce tea and silk. They invented paper made of bamboo. Okay, even today bamboo is the raw material for the paper industry. Apart from that, they invented explosives. Explosives means spotakagalu. Okay, painting press, producing porcelain, and mariner's compass is a instrument which shows the direction in the sea. And they introduced pictographic script. They introduced pictographic script. Okay, pictographic script. Pictures took for the words. It means what? Pictures took for the words. They wrote on bamboo slips vertically from top to bottom. Lao Tse and Confucius enriched the field of philosophy. Lao Tse and Confucius enriched the field of philosophy. They contributed a lot in the field of philosophy. Let us learn about the Lao Tse. Now we learn about Lao Tse. Lao Tse. He taught Lao Tse, he taught simple living. He said that man should have a simple living based on sacrifice, and he should have harmonious relationship with nature. Understood? Once again I will repeat here. They introduced pictographic script. It means what? Pictures took for the words. They wrote on bamboo slips vertically from top to bottom. Next, Lao Tse and Confucius enriched the field of philosophy. They contributed a lot in the field of philosophy. Okay, now we study about Lao Tse. He taught simple living. He said that man should have a simple living based on sacrifice, and he should have harmonious relationship with the nature. If we look after the nature, if we are friendly with the nature, nature will be friendly with us. We should not harm the nature. This philosophy was taught long back to the Lao Tse. Okay. Next, Confucius. He re-established the lost moral and social values in the society. During the dynasty, what had happened, children? What here happened? There were no social and moral values. Social and moral values. He taught the people about the social and moral values and re-established the lost moral and social values in the society. Who re-established the lost moral and social values in the society? Confucius. Confucius re-established the lost moral and social values in the society. He gave much importance of the morality and social values which will help build a healthy society. Okay. ಚಿಲ್ಡ್ರನ್, ನಾವು ಇವಾಗ ಚೀನಾ ನಾಗರಿಕತೆಯ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಭಾರತದ ಈಶಾನ್ಯ ದಿಕ್ಕಿನಲ್ಲಿರುವ ದೇಶವೇ ಚೀನಾ, ಹೌದಲ್ವಾ. ಇಲ್ಲಿನ ಜನರು ಮಂಗೋಲಿಯನ್ ಎಂಬ ಹಳದಿ ಮೈಬಣ್ಣದ ಬುಡಕಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಸೇರಿದವರಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಯಾಂಗ್ಸೆ ಮತ್ತು ಹಾಂಗ್ ಹೂ ಇಲ್ಲಿನ ಪ್ರಮುಖ ನದಿಗಳು. ಮೊದಲು ಹಳದಿ ನದಿ ತೀರದಲ್ಲಿ ಚೀನಾ ನಾಗರಿಕತೆ ಹುಟ್ಟಿತು ಎಂದು ಹೇಳಲಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಅದನ್ನು ಚೀನಾ ನಾಗರಿಕತೆಯ ತೊಟ್ಟಿಲು ಎಂದು ಕರೆಯಲಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆರಂಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಗ್ರಾಮಗಳಿಂದಲೇ ಆಡಳಿತವನ್ನು ಪ್ರಾರಂಭ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ನಿಧಾನವಾಗಿ ಭತ್ತ, ರೇಷ್ಮೆ ಉತ್ಪಾದಿಸಿ ವಿದೇಶಿ ವ್ಯಾಪಾರವನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಅವರು ಹೆಚ್ಚಿಸಿಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿನ ರಾಜಕೀಯ ಇತಿಹಾಸ. ಚೀನಾದ ಮೊದಲ ಮನೆತನ ಶಾಂಗ್. ಈ ಮನೆತನ 3600ರಿಂದ 3000 ವರ್ಷಗಳವರೆಗೂ ಕೂಡ ಆಳುತ್ತೆ. ಇವರು ಕೃಷಿಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಆದ್ಯತೆಯನ್ನು ನೀಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಈ ಕಾಲದ ಜನರು ಪಿಂಗಾಣಿ, ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಪಿಂಗಾಣಿ ವಸ್ತುಗಳನ್ನು ಬಳಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಕಪ್ಪು, ಸಾಸರ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಇದು ಎಲ್ಲಿ ತಯಾರಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ? ಚೀನಾದಲ್ಲಿ. ಓಕೆ. ಈ ಕಾಲದ ಜನರು ಪಿಂಗಾಣಿ ಮತ್ತು ಕಂಚಿನ ಪಾತ್ರೆಗಳನ್ನು ಉತ್ಪಾದಿಸಲು ಕರಕುಶಲ ಕಲೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಪರಿಣಿತಿಯನ್ನು ಸಾಧಿಸಿದ್ದರು. ಶಾಂಗ್ ಮನೆತನದ ನಂತರ ಚೌ ಮನೆತನ ಆಳ್ವಿಕೆಗೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಚೌ ಮನೆತನ ಪ್ರಸಿದ್ಧ ರಾಜ ಯಾರು? ಹುವಾಂಗ್. ಪ್ರಸಿದ್ಧ ಚೀನಿ ತತ್ವಜ್ಞಾನಿಗಳಾದ ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷಿಯಸ್, ಲಾವ್ ತ್ಸೆ ಅವರು ಕೂಡ ಚೌ ಮನೆತನದ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಕೂಡ ಇದ್ರು. ಝೌ ಮನೆತನದ ಆಳ್ವಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊನೆಗೊಳಿಸಿ ಚಿನ್ ಮನೆತನ ಅಧಿಕಾರಕ್ಕೆ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಚಿನ್ ಮನೆತನದಿಂದಲೇ ಆ ದೇಶಕ್ಕೆ ಚೀನಾ ಎಂಬ ಹೆಸರು ಬಂದಿದೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಶಿ ಹಾಂಗ್ತಿ. ಚಿನ್ ಮನೆತನದ ಪ್ರಸಿದ್ಧ ರಾಜ ಯಾರು? ಶಿಂಗ್ ಹಾಂಗ್ತಿ. ಇವನು ಚೀನಾವನ್ನು ಒಗ್ಗೂಡಿಸ್ತಾನೆ. ಒಂದೇ ರೀತಿಯ ಕಾನೂನನ್ನು ಇವನು ಜಾರಿಗೆ ತರ್ತಾನೆ. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಇವನನ್ನು ಚೀನಾದ ಮೊದಲ ರಾಜನೆಂದು ಕೂಡ ಕರೆಯಲಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಶತ್ರುಗಳ ದಾಳಿಯನ್ನು ತಡೆಯಲು ಇವನೇನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ? 1500 ಮೈಲಿ ಉದ್ದದ ಚೀನಾ ಮಹಾಗೋಡೆಯನ್ನು ನಿರ್ಮಾಣ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಶಿ ಹಾಂಗ್ತಿ ನಿಧನ ಹೊಂದಿದ ನಂತರ ಚೀನಾವು ಹಾನ್ ವಂಶದ ಆಳ್ವಿಕೆಗೆ ಒಳಪಡುತ್ತೆ. ಈ ಕಾಲವನ್ನು ಚೀನಾದ ಸುವರ್ಣ ಯುಗ, ಗೋಲ್ಡನ್ ಏಜ್ ಎಂದು ಕರೆಯಲಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್, ಊತಿ. ಹಾನ್ ವಂಶದ ಪ್ರಸಿದ್ಧ ದೊರೆ ಯಾರು? ಊತಿ. ಊತಿಯ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಶಾಲ ಚೀನಾ ಸಾಮ್ರಾಜ್ಯ ಸ್ಥಾಪನೆಗೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತೆ. ವಿದೇಶಿ ವಾಣಿಜ್ಯ ವ್ಯಾಪಾರ ಉತ್ತೇಜನ ದೊರೆಯುತ್ತೆ. ರೋಮನ್ ಸಾಮ್ರಾಜ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಚೀನಾದ ರೇಷ್ಮೆಗೆ ಅಪಾರ ಬೇಡಿಕೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಪರಿಣಾಮವಾಗಿ ಚೀನಾ ಮತ್ತು ರೋಮ್ ನಡುವಿನ ವ್ಯಾಪಾರ ಮಾರ್ಗವು ರೇಷ್ಮೆ ಮಾರ್ಗವೆಂದೇ ಪ್ರಸಿದ್ಧಿಯನ್ನು ಪಡೆದಿತ್ತು. ಬೌದ್ಧ ಧರ್ಮವು ಇದೇ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಚೀನಾವನ್ನು ಪ್ರವೇಶಿಸುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾನ್ ವಂಶದ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಲೆ ಮತ್ತು ಸಾಹಿತ್ಯಕ್ಕೂ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಪ್ರೋತ್ಸಾಹವನ್ನು ಕೊಡಲಾಗಿತ್ತು. ಆದ್ದರಿಂದ ಈ ವಂಶದ ಕಾಲವು ಚೀನಾದ ಚರಿತ್ರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಸುವರ್ಣ ಯುಗ ಎಂದೇ ಕರೆಯಲಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಪ್ರಸಿದ್ಧಿಯನ್ನು ಪಡೆದಿದೆ. ನಂತರ ಬಂದ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆತನದ ಕಾಲದಲ್ಲಿ ಮರದ ಮುದ್ರಣಾ ಯಂತ್ರ ಹಾಗೂ ಪಿಂಗಾಣಿ ತಯಾರಿಕೆ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಮರದ ಮುದ್ರಣಾ ಯಂತ್ರ ಹಾಗೂ ಪಿಂಗಾಣಿ ತಯಾರಿಕೆ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಮಂಗೋಲರು ಸುಂಗರ ರಾಜಧಾನಿ ಪೀಕಿಂಗ್ ಅನ್ನು ಗೆಲ್ಲುವ ಮೂಲಕ ಸುಂಗರ ಆಳ್ವಿಕೆಯನ್ನು ಅವರು ಅಂತ್ಯಗೊಳಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. ಚೀನಾ ನಾಗರಿಕತೆಯ ಕೊಡುಗೆಗಳು. ಪ್ರಾಚೀನ ಜಗತ್ತಿಗೆ ಚೀನಿಯರು ನೀಡಿದ ಕೊಡುಗೆಗಳು ಅಪಾರವಾದದ್ದು. ಇವರು ಟೀ ಮತ್ತು ರೇಷ್ಮೆ ವಸ್ತ್ರವನ್ನು ಇವರು ಪರಿಚಯಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. ಇದಲ್ಲದೆ ಬಿದಿರಿನಿಂದ ಮಾಡಿದ ಕಾಗದ, ಸಿಡಿಮದ್ದು, ಚಿತ್ರಕುಂಚ, ಪಿಂಗಾಣಿ, ದಿಕ್ಸೂಚಿ ಮೊದಲಾದವುಗಳನ್ನು ಇವರು ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿದ ಕೀರ್ತಿ ಚೀನಿಯರಿಗೆ ಮೊದಲಾದವುಗಳನ್ನು ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿದ ಕೀರ್ತಿ ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಸಲ್ಲುತ್ತೆ? ಚೀನಿಯವರಿಗೆ ಸಲ್ಲುತ್ತೆ. ಚೀನಾ ದೇಶದವರಿಗೆ ಸಲ್ಲುತ್ತದೆ. ಚೀನಿಯರು ಚಿತ್ರಲಿಪಿಯ ಮೂಲಕ ಬರೆಯುತ್ತಿದ್ದರು. ಇವುಗಳನ್ನು ಬಿದಿರಿನ ಬೊಂಬಿನ ಮೇಲಿನಿಂದ ಕೆಳಮುಖವಾಗಿ ಅವರು ಬರಿತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಚೀನಾದ ತತ್ವಜ್ಞಾನ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರವನ್ನು ಲಾವುತ್ಸೆ ಮತ್ತು ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷಿಯಸರು ಶ್ರೀಮಂತಗೊಳಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. ಲಾವುತ್ಸೆಯು ಚೀನಿಯರಿಗೆ ಸರಳ ಜೀವನ, ತ್ಯಾಗ ಮತ್ತು ಪ್ರಕೃತಿಯೊಂದಿಗೆ ಸಾಮರಸ್ಯದಿಂದ ಬಾಳುವುದನ್ನು ಅವನು ಬೋಧಿಸ್ತಾನೆ. ಯಾರು? ಲಾವುತ್ಸೆ. ಮತ್ತೊಬ್ಬ ತತ್ವಜ್ಞಾನಿ ಯಾರು? ಕನ್ಫ್ಯೂಷಿಯಸ್. ಇವನು ಸಮಾಜದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಳೆದು ಹೋಗಿದ್ದ ನೈತಿಕ ಮತ್ತು ಸಾಮಾಜಿಕ ಮೌಲ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ಮರುಸ್ಥಾಪಿಸುವ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಚಿಲ್ಡ್ರನ್.